Welcome to the podcast, Let the Prophet Speak. Today we continue our study of the book of Proverbs, Sefer Mishlei, and we continue in the first chapter. We are about to read verse number 8. Verse number 8 is the beginning of this section in which we hear a teacher speaking to a young student, a young disciple. And it could be a father teaching a child, or it could be a teacher teaching a student, or some sort of sage giving instructions to his young charges. Either way, it's referred. We hear the language of Shema Beni, listen, my son, and we will see this as throughout these next several chapters during this section. I think it's the first 8 chapters or so. Anyway, but so and it'll be this general theme. So this is the beginning of this section, which begins, Shema Beni, listen, my son, or pay attention, my son. Shema is more than just listen. It means listen and hear it and absorb it. Musar avicha, the discipline of your father. V'al titosh, and do not ignore. Torah imecha, the Torah, the teachings of your mother. Now, this is, of course, a very famous verse, as with most of the verses in Mishlei and Proverbs are very famous and influential within our culture. There's a few things that I want to note that we will find as we study through the entire book of Mishlei. Everyone sees in these verses something else, depending on our own perspectives, our own trials, tribulations, our own needs, our own ways of looking at things and understanding things, and none of them are wrong. When a proverb is designed to be that way, it's designed to be a wisdom that we all incorporate into our lives and into the way we think and feel and the way we behave and act, in ways that are appropriate for us. So it wouldn't be ever proper to say, this is what it really means, but it doesn't mean that. I mean, maybe there might be instances where someone tries to twist the meaning of the words beyond what it means to say, or to say the opposite of what it means to say. But in general, what you see in this verse is different than what I see in this verse. And that's just the nature of Proverbs. And I want to point that out, and it's so that we understand that. So obviously it would be impossible for me in every single verse to say every possible way something was interpreted. So you're going to hear me try to be as faithful as I can to the translation, the meaning of the words. The purpose of this entire podcast is to stick as close as possible to the actual meaning and translation of the words, and try to derive from the words being used and the language being used the meaning that is trying to be conveyed by the author, in this case, King Solomon. So there's choices of words here that all the commentaries comment on, and I can't pass up without mentioning them. Musar avicha, the discipline of the father. Musar is more than just a teaching. Musar is a word. Discipline is probably the best translation that I've seen for this word, because the father typically is associated with discipline that can be more harsh. It's not just that he tells you what to do, but he will lay out the punishments, maybe physical punishment, or maybe some other punishment or consequence. Whereas the mother is Torah, is teaching, right? Where in general, a mother is a figure who teaches and explains and tells us advice and guidance, but is usually not the one associated with meting out discipline. So that's the reasons for this choice of words, Musar avicha. So listen and pay attention to the Musar of your father, to the discipline of your father, and do not ignore the teachings of your mother. And again, it's very common for people to do this. we are either embarrassed of our parents, or we look at them as simple, and we think of them as there must be other people out there that are better. We see other people that are either more successful, more wealthy, more respected, and we ignore our parents, right? We ignore those things. So the first thing to do, what really the teacher here is telling us, what Solomon is telling us, you came here to learn from me, but you already have wisdom. Don't think that you're starting from nowhere. You're starting from somewhere. Pay attention, right, to what you've learned from your father and your mother. Take heed and make that the foundation for being the person that you want to become. Why is this? Why should you pay attention? Why not just ignore what they have to say and learn it all again? From me, I'm a great master, of course. Why don't you just learn it now from your teacher? Why don't you learn it from whatever source is teaching you in today's world? Nowadays, we have lots of places to learn things from. Why not just look at the internet and learn from TikTok how I'm supposed to act based on all of the influencers that I see and how I'm supposed to think about things? No, start with what you learned at home, ki livyat chen heim l'roshecha, because they are a this is a little bit tough to translate, but livyat chen is a crown of grace, right? Is for your head, and livyat connotes a language of levaya, which is to accompany. So it's not just a crown that you wear, but it's a crown that becomes part of you, right? So he's pointing out to you, he chooses these words to say that when someone maintains and remembers and does not ignore and does not belittle the advice that he or she learned at home, right? That is something that you carry with you the rest of your life. It's something that adorns you. It's part of you. It's part of who you are, no matter how you twist it. The bottom line is it's part of who you are. Va'anokim, and it is like a chain. In this case, it's not a chain of bondage, but a chain like one wears as adornment around their neck, legagro sechar, around your neck. In other words, don't forsake where you came from. Don't throw it all out. Take it. Yes, there might be times, things that might have not been positive in your past. But there is something to be proud of, something that you've learned from your parents that raised you and your family and your background. And that is you're going to wear it. It will accompany you the rest of your life. So you might as well learn those lessons so that you wear it as a livyat chen, as a crown of glory. Beni, and immediately he says, my son, verse 10, imifatucha chatoim al tovei. If the sinners are trying to seduce you, don't be seduced. Don't allow yourselves to come under their influence. Now, so basically, one of the first things that the sinners will try to have you do is throw away everything you've learned at home. Come to us, right? We have the path for you. Now, how do you know that these sinners are truly sinners? How do you know that their path is bad? Because im yomru lecha itanu, if they come and tell you, come with us, nerva ledam, let us, literally that means let us lie in ambush for blood, nitzbena lenakichinam. Let us, for no reason, let us hide in order to take advantage of the innocent. So how do you know that these people are bad? Because the path that they're taking you on is a path that is based on taking advantage of others, right? So you know right away that these people are on the wrong path. Don't go altove, don't go down their path. And what do they continue to tell you? They're trying to entice you, and they say, hey, nivlaim kisha'ol chayim, let us swallow them up. Like literally that means a living grave. Let's take advantage of them, right? We're going to leave them alive, right? We're not going to kill them, but we're going to swallow them up and take their things. We're going to take advantage of them and use them for our benefit. Utimimim kiyor debor, and we will swallow them whole. In other words, we won't physically harm them. Well, but we'll leave them whole, just like when they go into the pit. In other words, when they're buried, they go in whole. So we're going to do the same thing, but we're just going to take advantage of them and make money off of them, right? The implication here is that we don't want to kill them. We're not going to physically harm them. We're not going to, but we're going to take advantage of them, and we are going to fleece them of their money. Kolhonya Karnim Tzan will find all kinds of wonderful treasures, precious treasures. Nimaleva Tenu Shalala, and we will fill our houses with all sorts of spoils. Gorolcha Tapil B'tochenu, place your lot among us. Come with us. Kis echad yelechulano, and we will have one big pocket. We'll all share in the spoils. Trying to make it out as if they're all going to be one nice club. We'll take advantage of everyone else. We'll gain all of these things. And the motivating factor, of course, is profits, gain, and material treasures and wealth, right? But we're not going to kill them. We're not going to destroy them. Because they know if they come to you and tell you let's just kill everybody and take their things, well, you probably won't want to do it. But don't worry, we'll leave them whole to mimim, right? We will swallow them like a living grave. We'll leave them alive, but we will go ahead and they don't know that we're doing this, but we'll take advantage of them and we will fleece them of their money. Beni, my son, again, that term, Beni, my son. I know this is enticing. It's enticing to think about all of how much there is to gain. Al telech b'derech itam, don't go on a path with them. Menarag l'cha minisivasam, withhold your legs from following along those paths. Don't go down that road, no matter how many excuses you make yourself. Why? Ki raglehem lora yarutzu, their legs are running to evil, v'maharu lishpachtam, and they will quickly end up spilling blood. Although they might tell you that, no, we're not here to kill, we're not here to harm people physically, ultimately that is what's going to happen, whether directly or indirectly. At some point, they're going to end up hurting someone physically, and whether it's in a fight or whether they're going to have to kill someone to take advantage of him or her, or just the terrible damage that they do to other people, the financial damage, will lead ultimately to that person being sick, that person dying. So, quickly, very quickly, it's going to descend into violence, right? For literally, this translates, this is verse 17, for the net is spread apart for free. Now, what this is referring to, be'enei kol bal kanaf, that's what it looks like in the eyes of those that are flying overhead. What this verse is a beautiful metaphor. It's referring to a net that one lays on the ground in order to trap birds. And one lays it on the ground and covers it with vegetation and seeds and whatever it is that birds like to eat. And the birds flying overhead look at it and they think, right? It's free food. I'm explaining this the way Rashi explains this verse, which is really the most beautiful and most accurate understanding of this verse. It looks like it's free food, but that's what it looks like in the eyes of those that are flying overhead. It looks like there's nothing wrong here, but ultimately it's going to trap the bird. If the bird lands and starts eating what appears to be free, eventually that it won't take long before that net snaps and ties up and traps the bird and leads to his ultimate demise. So what these people are doing, it looks to them like it's free food, just taking advantage of everything, of everyone else. It looks like there's no danger in this. However, Vehem, verse 18, Lidamam ye'erovu. Who are they lying in ambush for? They're lying in ambush for their own blood, because it's going to devour them. It's benul nafshosam. They are hiding and playing all kinds of tricks and games, taking advantage of other people. This is like the classical con artists, thinking, oh, whatever, I'm just taking money and but it's not going to harm me. But ultimately, who is the ultimate con? Who is going to be the ultimate victim? The con artist himself. Kain orchos kol botzea botza. Such is the path of all whose motivation is only personal profit. Botzea botza, that people that only motivation is for their own gain, and they're not thinking, they're not doing what they're doing in life to help others. The path that they chose in life has one motive and one motive alone, and that is profit, their own gain. Es nefesh ba'alav yikach, the way it is that it leads to take the life, the soul of the owner, right, of that person himself, the one who's making such plans and ideas. He thinks that he's doing no harm. He's just making money, but if that's his only motive, if he doesn't have a non-selfish motive, if he doesn't think, what is the impact of what I'm doing? And if part of his motive isn't to help others and to help the world around him, and his only motive is personal profit, it's going to eat him up. It's going to harm others, like we said before, right? V'marulish bachtam, they're going to hurt others, like we said in verse 16. And ultimately, the biggest victim is going to be him himself. This is the, I'm going to stop here. It's hard to know the best places to stop and start. I'm going to try to keep the podcasts like I usually do to 15 to 20 minutes a piece. Sometimes it might be a little shorter, it might be a little longer, but this is a logical stopping point, right? He just explained to us, how do you know, just to recap, how do you know the path that you should not go down if that path is purely selfish, it's purely only meant to make profit for yourself, and it leads to harming others? Stay away from that path. And also, let's not forget how he began. Don't ignore your past. Learn the lessons. Wear your past, wear your heritage, your family background, your parents, what they taught you, what you learned from them. Wear that as something of pride and take that as a foundation as you go into your life. Which path should you take? Let's see as we continue in the next podcast when we study verse 20 together and on. Have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for participating in this podcast. And I look forward to finishing this beautiful book of Proverbs together as we study and make ourselves better people. Thank you again.